Hello, I'm Brad Charbonneau. I wanted to make another video about becoming a Betterhelp therapist now that I have a little bit nicer camera and about a year and a half of experience. I wanted to kind of just explain a little bit more about how it works since I've done a couple other videos and people have found them to be really helpful, and I just thought it'd be, it's a really great time to start talking about the Betterhelp just because of the bonus is so high right now for new therapists in several states. The bonus is actually at like $1,000 in several states, which I'll put in the description below, and then $100 in other states. So, without further ado, if you want to work at BetterHelp, you do have to be a clinical social worker, a mental health counselor, a marriage and family therapist, or a psychologist. And with the current inflation the way it is, I've found that BetterHelp has been really helpful with being an extra source of income. I do kind of think that it might be a little bit challenging to do BetterHelp full time, just because of the hours requirements in order to make good money. But I do know there are people that do BetterHelp full time. But it's definitely been really great for doing part time work. And there was a point where I was doing like 10 to 15 hours a week and making like 2,000 a month. But I've kind of slowed it down a little bit to where now I'm just doing about maybe like 1,200 to 1,500 a month. So I definitely say that this has been a really good source of extra income, especially working from home. I had a private practice for a while in Little Rock, and I was paying so much on advertising that I really didn't make any money from the practice and then rent. But now that I'm doing it from home, there's a lot of tax write-offs, and I'm not paying for an office space. So it's actually just been really great being able to do this part-time from home. And then also the advertising is just really robust working on BetterHelp. So you don't have to pay for any advertising. So I just highly recommend it for that reason too. Now, the aspect with BetterHelp is you are able to kind of look at the referrals that are coming in to kind of say if you to kind of look at their issues and kind of say, is this somebody that you think is appropriate to work with you? So, for example, if I get somebody that has had suicidal ideation in the last 2 weeks, the majority of the time I'll write BetterHelp and I'll tell them I recommend for them to go to a clinic with medication or therapy, just because I think for the severity of their symptoms, that doing an online therapy platform like BetterHelp might not be the most appropriate. Also, if you're dealing with the court system, their notes documentation isn't really the best. So it really kind of depends on what they need for knowing if BetterHelp is the right platform. But for somebody that deals with stress management, like a business professional or a student, it's actually been a really great platform. And that's kind of what I gear it towards, is working with patients that deal with more like stress management. And then also the platform offers subspecialties such as the LGBT community, working with couples, or working with children. And that's also just been a neat aspect about it too, is that you can get a lot of referrals within these sub communities. Now, for the scheduling, they do schedule it in either 30 or 45-minute increments, but they only stop paying at 45 minutes, so that's how I structure my schedule. And I'll usually do like 6 to 6:45, 6:45 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8:15, and then 8:15 to 9. Although a lot of times I've actually cut it down to just 3 sessions instead of 4. But there are still times where I might schedule the 4 sessions. So I do try to schedule it in a way where I'm maximizing how much they'll pay, and then you're getting your full number of hours. They also schedule it with voice, video, or chat. I don't like to offer the chat sessions where you're just sending messages, just because I don't think that's very helpful, especially because there's a lot of body language that goes missing if you're just sending messages back and forth. So I only offer voice or video calls, and I find that the clients really respond to this. At the beginning, I did have some that didn't want to work with me because I didn't offer messaging sessions, but the majority have been okay. I'm willing to work once I kind of explain the reason with the body language. Also, I always tell people they can message me any time of day and I'll respond within 24 hours, because that's what BetterHelp requires, is that you do respond to messages within 24 hours. And I just try to set up those boundaries from the beginning, and usually people respond pretty well. I think it's all about the expectations and that communication with your client. That way they know what the expectations are. So they can send you messages anytime. Now, the other aspect about BetterHelp is it is an electronic medical record system, so you can actually use it for your documentation as well. And they've even changed it to where now you can review notes from the past from previous clients as well. So if you did have a reason that you needed to. And normally with the documentation, because it's mostly stress management clients, it's actually pretty easy to do the documentation. I usually just write like a few sentences kind of about the intervention that we use therapeutically, and then I can move on to the next. And so the documentation is actually really another benefit of working on this platform, is that it's really not too strict, and they would say that it just depends on your own licensure. So for me, I just try to make sure I'm documenting it about the intervention, and then that's about it. Now, the other aspect too is they do include treatment plans and worksheets included in the platform, so you can send those to the clients in between sessions, which I've actually had a lot of clients that like doing worksheets between sessions and prefer homework. So it's really neat to have the library of different worksheets that you can choose from, and then you can send them. Now, the pay structure. So BetterHelp, they pay $30 an hour at the beginning, up to the first 5 hours. After the first 5 hours, it increases by $5 and goes to $35 an hour, and then another $5 to $40 an hour, and then up to $70 an hour. So for the therapists that are working at 30 hours or 35 hours, they say that you can make really good money. For me, since I just do it part-time, I normally do like 10 to 15 hours, and that's been really helpful for extra money. But that's how they structure it. It's between 30 and 70, but it goes up in $5 increments per hour for every 5 hours. I know a lot of therapists complain that isn't very much, but I will say just from observations that I've known some counselors that will work as a contract therapist and only make like $35 or $40 an hour just because they're only getting half of what their insurance bills or whatever percentage that they negotiate. So I think it just depends, and it depends on what your expectations are. I also keep a CPH insurance in order to make sure that I'm covered no matter what. And so you can pick your own liability insurance, but that's just the one that I found to be the best. And then also, if you ever do have any questions, you can always contact the help team, and they'll usually respond within a reasonable amount of time to kind of give you a good answer. If you do have any specific questions about the platform on BetterHelp, you are welcome to email me or call or text. I've had several people since doing these videos reach out to me, and I'm always happy to reach out back. I just ask that if my information is helpful or the video is helpful, that you use my link to sign up, and then I can receive a small commission as well. And then you'd receive a commission too from signing up from the link. So I appreciate your time, and I hope this video was helpful.